Good morning. Welcome to the podcast. Itai, welcome. Welcome
Thank you
again.
very much, Dov. Thank you, Rabbi, Dov.
Yeah, and we're here on Yud Gimel Tammuz, as we say, 13 days of Tammuz, and we'll speak about that later. What's a special day? But first, Itai, open us up with something that's coming up at the end of the month, which those who are boxing fans, strap your seats because this is going to be a world of boxing. Go for it.
We're going to speak a bit about boxing. Thank you, Rabbi. You, by the way, for the fans who don't know, I think they don't, that you box.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
You're just
yeah.
you're practicing.
I'm practicing. Yeah,
You had some,
maybe I'll have a fight.
you had some amateur fights, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I never. I had a grading. I did grading. I
Okay.
didn't. I didn't want to knock somebody in the face.
I see.
I used. I sparred, but I didn't. I didn't go. But maybe listen. I reached 40, and I'm having a midlife crisis. You know, who
Yes.
knows? Maybe I'll start boxing.
Yeah, but keep in mind, this is my opinion, but I think it's a general opinion. It's very important as well that I think that what they call white collar boxing is pretty dangerous. It needs to be under extreme restrictions and observation, and even under these conditions, I'm not a big fan of it. I think that anyone who goes into the ring, even if it's not a professional, and we know the risk of professional boxing, needs to know a lot before attending
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ring, which means everything about the basic punches. And I'm not talking about just knowing how to throw them a few times, but knowing, as Bruce Lee said, you know what Bruce Lee used to say? He said, I'm not afraid of a man who knows 10,000 kicks and punches. I'm afraid of a man who practiced one punch 10,000 times.
Yeah. Right.
Yes, and I told you I have a very good friend in Israel, Jacob Dascalo, is the master of these things. He knows, he lives boxing. So he used to speak a lot about it. It's a very,
How old is he?
he's in his mid 50s, I believe.
Maybe I'll go to
You should,
Israel. Have some
you
training.
should definitely, he is a world class philosopher of boxing and boxing trainer. That's actually a guy that you can say he was not born in the States, he was born in Israel.
Hmm.
And maybe if he was born in the States, he would have been more involved, or even here in Britain, because you got here a very strong scene of boxing as well. He would have been very involved, and then maybe his name would have been much bigger. But when it comes to actually knowing boxing, is on a different level. But yes, when it comes to all these fights, people before they attend the ring, before they even attend sparring, they should know a lot,
Yeah.
and it needs to be under a very good teacher, not coach. You know that, by the way, we tend to call a good coaches teachers, not trainers. We
Mm.
don't like using the word trainers.
Interesting.
Do you know why? I'm asking you. It's interesting. This
No.
is because you are a philosophical person, and we always speak about the philosophical sides of things. Bernard Hopkins, who is one of the greatest fighters, he's actually the oldest champion in history. He retired a few years ago. He was very old school, and he managed to transform his life. He was in prison for 5 years as a young man. He came from Philadelphia, extremely rough background, and he managed to become a monk of boxing. And he was really knowledgeable about it. Very old school, you understand? Very smart, very intelligent, cerebral fighter. That's how he beat the young people who goes against him. And he said that there is a difference, and he's right about it, between a trainer and a teacher. Angelo Dundee, who worked with Muhammad Ali, was a teacher. Kaz D'Amato was a teacher. The great Eddie Fudge, Ray Arcel. These are teachers because they teach the art of boxing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't come and teach you how to be. They are not physical trainers. You know, they are not interested just because, unfortunately, today, why boxing is not on the same level of yesterday is because a lot of boxing is concentrated around physical training, conditioning, strength, not the sweet science. Boxing was always known as the sweet science, and boxers like Sugar Ray Robinson, Ezra Charles, Joe Louis, who is the greatest for me, all of them were practitioners of the sweet science.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So where
You
I go,
understand?
yeah, no, where I go, it's mainly we get taught, if you want to call it, there's less of the strength building as you
Good.
suggest, but more of
That's a
the
good science.
more of technique, movement. A lot of it has to do with movement.
That's boxing is about.
Yeah, movement, and also there is definitely a science of how you throw a punch, how you get out the way. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it is very important. So that's why I'm saying that it should always, if anyone attends the ring, on whatever level it is, should have a
Okay.
lot of knowledge before. Okay.
But definitely, it's also good. Besides with that, if you want a good workout
Mm-hmm.
and you want to hit the bag, you know, and throw the punches and do the on the bag for a good half an hour, it's a very good workout. I'll tell you that.
I absolutely agree with you, Rabbi. I always suggest that this is the best sport in for many reasons, many ways, and for many reasons of discipline and also
And
physical
balance. It's all about balance.
freedom, everything.
Yeah.
But you know, again, it's all good to practice, but when you're getting inside the ring, this is
Yeah.
where it's different.
Yeah.
So we wanted to speak a bit about the shape of fights to come. Yeah?
Yes.
All right. So we're talking about Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford.
Yeah.
Probably the greatest fight in recent years.
This is the fight later on this month.
The 29th of July, I believe.
Who's fighting again? What's the name?
Errol Spence.
Yeah.
Fighting is from Texas, I believe. Fighting against Terence Crawford, who is from Omaha, Nebraska, Omaha.
Yeah, see, wow, I'm busy looking it up.
You're talking about two fighters, or more or less the same age.
The undisputed world.
Undisputed is this is undisputed for you, my friend. It's no joke. This means that all the belts are on the line.
Wow.
And it means that you're having two undefeated fighters, by the way.
Yeah, so it looks like what's Spencer's got 3 belts.
Gets 3 belts on him, yes. But you know, it's not so much.
Who do you think's gonna win? Tell me each one. Spence, what's his
for me, the king of pound for pound is Terence Crawford. He's been like that for many years. I just think that the only issue with him was that he didn't have a lot of big fights recently. And that's maybe why Usyk, who is a great fighter as well, is probably known as the pound for pound king at this stage. But for me, Crawford is the complete fighter. He's a throwback to the old school. And it reminds me in some ways the way he looks is a disposition of Sandy Sandler, who was a great fighter, by the way. He fought Willie Pep in 4 fights there together, legendary fights. And I think that Terence Crawford is a complete fighter.
Yeah, it says that he's only been fighting like once, what's it called? He's only been fighting, he only had 1 fight a year.
I believe so, yes. And Terence Crawford, I believe so. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There was some time that I didn't have a chance to watch boxing or the fights, the current fights. Then I came back and started watching again. I haven't watched him in action for some time, but he's a tremendous fighter. He can fight, by the way, both ways. He's an ambidextrous.
Wow, that's very dangerous.
He's like a Marvin Adler.
By the way, I can also punch with both, like really well. Like I was
2 stances. You can be southpaw as well.
Yes,
you are not left-handed, right? You are right-handed.
Right-handed, but I can. I like I was having a spar with the trainer, the teacher.
Okay.
And I was busy going right because that's the thing, and then suddenly I flipped to the left, and he was like, "What are you doing?" You know, like he was totally caught off guard because I can have the same force.
Oh, very nice. So you had some secret weapon there.
Yeah, just don't tell anybody if I ever fight somebody.
Yeah. So no, he's very good with that, but it's not just about that. That's one thing. That's about technique, but he's also very capable of having the fighting.
Oh, and by the way, my kids are also all left-handed except for one.
Oh,
very interesting.
It's interesting that actually me and my two.
But I'm not a lefty.
Okay, my brother and my sister, both of them are right-handed, including me, and my parents are. Sneeze. My parents are left-handed, but
so you're a righty.
I'm a right-handed, yes. But coming back to the story is that with Terence Crawford it's also his ability to use his mind as a fighter. He's a very good fighter when it comes to actually his intelligence, and he can do anything. He can brawl, he can box,
But I'm not sure if he's only fighting once a year. That's if you don't fight often, you might be good technically, but it's the experience that you might be good. I'm not saying I don't know the fighters. I've got to really look at them, but you know, if you're not in the ring.
You're bringing a great point, I got to tell you, and I explain to you why I like what you're saying. Because, again, during our discussions back in the past, we used to write about it. And one of the problems of today's fighting, in my opinion, that's why the old school is much greater. And we spoke about it in the past, you and me as well. You remember that I told you about the past versus what is happening now. And for me, the old school, especially the 30s, the 40s of the 20th century, are the golden age of boxing. Fighters used to fight very often. You know that Ray Robinson had a tour to Europe, and he fought 7 fights in something like a few weeks. Incredible. And this is the difference. So you're right about it. Not being occupied or not being fighting properly is a problem.
It is. It's a very big problem.
It is.
It doesn't mean he's not good. It means he can be the best in the world.
No, he is the best in my opinion. He is the best.
In welterweight.
He is the pound for pound king, meaning that if you take all the weights together, he's probably the most complete fighter of all fighters.
And he looks very humble, by the way.
He is. He's great. He got a great personality. I'm a huge fan of Terence Crawford for many years. I tell you, he's a really good fighter. But Errol Spence is very good as well. So we are having a situation where you got two fighters who are very good and well matched.
Yeah.
Errol Spence is more physical. He is a skilled fighter as well. He's not on the level of Terence Crawford.
He seems a bit younger than Crawford.
2 years difference between.
That's it.
It's not much. Yes, Crawford looks a bit older. I agree with you.
Yeah, he looks a bit mature. You can see from the picture.
Yeah, Spence speaks as well younger than he's. I mean, they're young guys anyway, but Spence speaks a bit like he's in his 20s.
Yeah.
But I think that listen is very competitive, very aggressive, and he got great engine as well. He can go for 12 rounds and he can go.
Look, he looks very from the pictures that I'm busy looking. He looks like a very serious.
You talk about Crawford.
Yeah.
Come on, he's extremely focused. It's going to be a tough fight.
So your money's on Crawford?
Never betting.
No, but you know what I mean.
I know the meaning of the saying. Yeah, I don't know. Look, it's a very. I'm with Crawford because I think he's the better man, but we will see because it's a difficult fight.
So I'm trying to see when is actually the fight. What time? It's at you can.
Too late for us, I think. No, the UK.
Is it too late? Where are they fighting in America?
In America, in Las Vegas. Yeah. That's a big Las Vegas fight.
Is it? Is it? So maybe we can watch it. Maybe it's at 10:30 or 11 o'clock.
No way, man. Come on. If they go on stage, I think the fight starts probably at 10, 11 in America. So what time is it going to be?
I don't know. I'd love to watch it.
It's going to be a tremendous fight. I don't see how it can become what people call a stinker. You know, sometimes when two great fighters meet, it tends to be a very, they tend to fight a very, how should I say it, carefully. Right. They fight, they don't really give, everything has to be about risk management. But in my opinion, listen, even though Terence Crawford can have many personalities as a fighter, and he can fight in many different ways, and I saw him doing it, he can take a lot of sides in his personality. I think that Spence is such an aggressive fighter.
Yeah.
It's very possible that this fight is going to be pretty intense.
Yeah, you're right. It's saying 4 a.m. in the morning.
Yes,
that's a bit early. Wow.
Yes, but this is definitely a great fight, and it's a fight that we've been talking about this fight for a few years now. By the way, I think that some people almost gave up on the idea that it's going to happen because politics, we call it boxing politics today, tend to postpone fights.
Usually what the biggest fight is about in this thing is about the rematch and about the distribution of cash. Those are the two things.
Of course, yes, I believe so. Look, it's
why is it such a big deal? I don't understand. So why don't you want to put, okay, fine, we'll have a rematch.
You talk about this.
Or cash, like it was 60-40. I mean, what's the thing, the cash or the...
I think a lot of time it's this, okay, so they already signed the contract for the fighting, but the contract itself, I think, it talks about the money distribution, and obviously, but I'm just talking about rematch for both fighters, I believe. Mm-hmm. I haven't gone into the details, but I believe it's both fighters are going to have the opportunity of a rematch, because both of them are undefeated and both of them stars. And I think in the rematch, whoever won is going to have the better share of the money. Okay, that makes sense. You're talking about negotiations. For me, a lot of times...
Before you carry on, let me just tell you, Crawford. Do you know what Crawford's record is?
33 fights, I think.
39.
39, sorry.
Yeah. And 30 of them were knockouts.
Is a good knockout.
He's held the WBO since 2018. That's 18, 19, 20, 20. That's
5 years.
That's amazing.
Look, Rabbi, I got to tell you, he's a tremendous fighter. He's the king of pound for pound.
Spence was 28 with 22 knockouts.
Yes.
So it's really a good match.
Of course. Look, both of them can knock out, not necessarily because they are big punchers, but because they know how to fight. When you know how to fight,
Yeah.
this is where you can knock out people.
Yeah.
You know what is the most dangerous punch? Actually, tell me what is the most dangerous punch.
What is the most dangerous punch?
Think about it philosophically. Don't think about left hook
No.
or right hand or whatever. Just tell me.
Oh, the one that knocks the person down.
No, that's a great answer. I knew that you're gonna find a way. The one you don't see.
Yeah.
This is the recipe. You say Sugar Ray Robinson. Do you want to hear an anecdote from the greatest? So there was a journalist, I forgot his name, a British journalist, a big journalist, and he met Sugar Ray Robinson, who was the greatest fighter ever, the most complete fighter who has ever lived. And he met him in one of these parties after he retired, and he told him, "Wow, Sugar Ray, you were such a puncher. Huh? You could really knock out people." He said to him, "No, I didn't have a big punch." So he couldn't believe him. So he said, "How can it be that you're telling me that?" So he told him. So Sugar Ray Robinson said to him, he gave him a small punch like that to the stomach, nothing with power or anything. He said, did it hurt you? He said, no, it was fine, no problem. So he told him, now close your eyes. He closed his eyes. He touched him, whoop, jumped. He told him, you see, the punch that you don't see is the most dangerous, because that actually shows the greatness of a fighter. Because a great fighter is like a chess player. We hear a lot of like, this is a chess match, but often it's not a chess match in our days, because a great fighter back in the day, someone like if you watch Ezra Charles versus Jersey Joe Walcott, two of the most amazing old school fighters. And you can see how Jersey Joe Walcott at the 7th round knocked out Ezra Charles. You see, that's a genius of boxing, because he knows how to use feints. He knows how to use his sense of cunning and great movement in order to create deception and then throw the punch that the rival won't see, and then he's getting knocked out.
See.
That's the real danger. So that actually shows you the measure of a great fighter. Because someone who is just a brute force, a brute, will never go too far. That's not a knockout artist for me. Because what is the artistry in that? You just have power in your hands, so what?
I'll tell you, Mike Tyson always said that when he, no, not always said, I was watching Mike Tyson said that when he used to punch, when he punches through. Every punch he does is punches through.
Yeah.
That means every punch, for the punch that he's going to make is a knockout punch. For other people, not you punch and come back. He's like, no, this punch is going through. Which whatever, but he's very quick. Mike Tyson was.
Oh yeah, he was.
You even look at him now when he's 50. Watch videos of him, and his movements are just unbelievable.
You know something? I'll tell you. I think that when it comes to
before you carry on, I just want to say also nothing about these two, Spence and Crawford. You know that statistically they are both have a 75% knockout ratio.
I see. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so it's a really good matchup fight.
No, it's fantastic.
So it's definitely one to watch. Anyway, what were you saying?
No, we've been talking about this fight for many years. We wanted it to happen. Luckily, I feel that they are still at the prime or very close to it of the fighting days, so it's going to be a good fight. By the way, I just want to tell you something that you don't know about the biography of Spence. A few years ago, he was involved in a car accident that really, this is by God, he was saved from it, because it was in one of these sport cars, maybe a Ferrari. And it's an incredible crash. It's unbelievable that a man survived something like that. This is by God. And he came back to fighting. Yeah. He's still a very strong fighter. But let's just see, that's his biggest test yet.
Yeah, so look, Spence is 33, Crawford is 35. Yeah? Yes. Fights 28-39, wins 28-39. They're both. Losses, no losses. Knockouts 30-22, we said. 75% ratio. Height, 5'9", 5'8". Pretty much, can't really tell the difference. Weight, 10 stone, 3 pounds, 4 pounds, nothing in it, yeah? Yes. Reach, 72, 74, okay, that might be a little bit, in inches, come on. Their nickname, Spencer's called The Truth. Crawford's called the Bud,
Terence Bud Crawford, yeah.
The belts that Spence holds is WBC, WBA, IBF, and the one that Crawford holds is the WBO. Doesn't say. Obviously, we know that he's been holding it since 2018. Yeah, I don't know how long.
It's an undisputed fight. By the way, it's very important to mention it, because for many years we didn't have. We did have in recent years, but before that, in the days of Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, we didn't have enough of this undisputed. So people used to have belts, but you had several champions in the same weight category. I cannot accept it. For me, the undisputed is what really means the champion of the world. That's why I rate this fight.
But I think these type of, just to let you know, these type of fights, you do like they do for the World Series. You have best of 3. That's how it should be decided, I think. because you can have an off day, you know. But that's a different discussion
Yeah,
for
but
another
it's
time.
exactly. But I wanted to relate to your point about Mike Tyson, if you may.
Yeah,
Because you said about Mike Tyson, you said that he was very quick, then he's still very quick, right?
yeah. I've been watching. I watched a few videos of him doing training exercises. Like if you want to watch training,
Hmm.
yeah, he trained with this guy. I don't know who he is, and or you just see him train and you just watch him, and he's like, he's still got it. He's still so quick.
He's probably, I would never advise a man his age. I think recently he just celebrated his birthday. I would never advise, he doesn't need my advice, but I'm just saying, a man in his age to go back and fight professionally, but he's probably better than most heavyweights when it comes to his technique and it comes to his speed. I got to tell you something. I think that when it comes to physical attributes, talent plus studies, because he was under one of the greatest teachers, a real teacher, Kaz D'Amato, Mike Tyson could have been the greatest heavyweight ever.
Mm,
But for me, the problem for him was his mentality, psychology.
mm,
We have certain type of psychology. Some of it we are born with. Some of it is being designed or designated by the circumstances and our upbringing. We should speak about it one day. Maybe make a podcast about it because
yeah.
I would love to hear your opinion about it, and I need to form an opinion, a proper opinion
Mm,
about it as well, because there are too many variables here. But I think that's what stopped him from becoming a real great heavyweight. And that's, I say, with great admiration to Mike Tyson.
excellent. So the fight's on the 29th of July. I'm sure we'll speak about it again closer to the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we'll look forward to seeing what happens.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I like that. Yeah.